welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about the consequences of ignoring red flags, right? And this doesn't necessarily have to be specifically to dealing with narcissists. I'm talking about in general when you overlook things for the sake of maybe having a strong desire to have it, or because you really like that particular thing, right? Or a person. It could be either or. But for the sake of this channel and what we usually talk about, let's just per se and stick with narcissists. Okay. Um, in dealing with people, and a lot of you, when you got to the point of meeting and coming across the narcissist, you didn't know they were a narcissist. Okay, you didn't know anything. You liked the way the treatment you were getting. Obviously, this is the love bombing stage. So the treatment, and how they were interacting with you was suitable. It was accepting to you. So you dealt with it. And I've always said this is why the power of love bombing is it unguards you. Okay? It unguards you in a way to where things that you do see that are obvious red flags, you put them to the side for reassessment later. Most of you think, oh, I'll put it to the side and I'll come back at a later time and deal with it if it gets too bad. And undoubtedly it does in later. But in the mix of things, in the process of everything, when you're dealing with this and you're dealing with a narcissist and everything's going on like that, you overlook it because you're having fun or you're having a lot of pleasure being with them and so forth and so on. You like having them around. It's fun. So you're the option where logic comes in to say, hey, we're having fun now, but what about later? Your mind pushes that completely out the window. Completely out the window. There's some of you who've been single for a long time. You have cold beds, and being lonely can take a toll on you. And sometimes when you do come across someone that you think is compatible with and that you're having fun with, it opens you up in many ways to being susceptible to being used by a narcissist. Okay, you overlook the things. There's not one person here that can tell me that they had absolutely zero notion whatsoever, and I mean personal interaction, okay, that may have triggered them to say this person is not right, that they could potentially be someone who is dysfunctioned, right? To me, I mean, there's just no way that somebody could just say that with absolute doubt that I had no inkling. I was totally unaware. I was totally blindsided. It just doesn't happen that way. What happened is a lot of things were being brought to your attention. A lot of things that you saw weren't right, but you had to invested time, some of you money, some of you had kids, some of you got married, some of you bought property or things like that together. You invested something in them where it wasn't a viable option to just get out of the situation quickly. So narcissists love to put their sources in situations where they get tied down or locked in. Right, this is creating leverage over the new supply, over the source of supply anyway that they're dealing with. They want to have leverage. That leverage gives them a higher impacting position within their lives, so that it's not so readily easily to get rid of them. So even afterwards, after a certain point, when they do start showing you red flags, you're already so deep in that you can't just pull out. You can't just say, oh, no, I'm out of here now. You're too invested. So at this point, you go along with it, hoping for the better, hoping that things don't go wrong or things change up or things smoothen themselves out, because most of you were diligently working to make the situation right, doing everything within your power to make sure that everything was going in the right manner that it should be going in, so that you guys can grow and develop. Anyway, over the course of time, what ended up happening is the situation started to deteriorate rapidly, right? And you were you had put too much in to jump out, and you were holding on basically to your investment. That's what it ends up happening. When you overlook these red flags, you hold on to the investment of your time or whatever it may have been, and it keeps you locked into the situation, and an unhealthy one at that. But we have to be honest with ourselves, you know. There's a lot of people, I hear people all the time saying, oh, I want nothing to do with the narcissist. I'm good. I can have, no, they'll never come back. And okay, that's fine. But why did we ignore the red flags? Why? Okay, because it's, and I say this and I speak about accountability a lot here on this channel, because a lot of it does come down to us at the end of the day. And if we can't, you know, if we can't put our minds or place our minds on the aspect of ourselves being a part of the problem in certain situations, not for all, okay, because there'll be some people who say, well, I had no, I was totally unaware. Some people were victims of circumstance. You know, some people were sheltered all their lives. They hadn't seen this type of game come at them, right? But in the end, once we get the knowledge and we're aware, we have to look at what is it that allowed us to be caught up in a situation like that. So let's go back to the example of the person who was sheltered all their lives, hadn't really seen anything, hadn't really known or seen this type of game ran on them. Because believe me, the narcissists are running game. There's the disorder, but there's the other side of that is game. And they know how to run game on people. AKA, you can call it manipulation, whatever. Right? They're using uncommon knowledge to get an advantage over another individual. Right? So if a person was sheltered in all this and they're not aware of a lot of things that are out there, they'll be prime targets of a narcissist, of a player, of a hustler, any of those type of things. So that's why on this channel I don't just specifically speak in regards to a narcissist, because anyone who's fell for a narcissist can fall for a player, can fall for a hustler, can fall for just a con artist, a scammer. Right? It's not just specific to narcissism. This is why I try to get you all to look at the bigger picture, to look at things from multiple angles, not to just be so fixated on narcissist. Right? Someone who's a hustler could be a hustler, but that doesn't make them necessarily a narcissist. Someone can be a player, and they play the game, they play people, but that doesn't make them a narcissist. Right? So with those variations that I just named, some of you ran into hustlers, some of you ran into players, you know, some of you ran into scammers. Some of you actually ran into full-fledged narcissists, but they can all very readily look the same. They can look exactly the same. but have different functionality. This is something that you have to understand. I try to say, and I'm saying this, show, because a lot of you are getting too fixated on narcissist. What about the other components to the game, to those type of individuals who play, who hustle, who con, who scam, who scheme? Right? So the thing for you all to be is well-rounded in mind. To be knowledgeable, not just this, but the game in general. Right? And by merely being in life and existing, you're already in the game. A lot of you aren't accepting it. A lot of you say, well, if I stay to myself, I do this and this and that. Okay, that's fine. You'll be miserable. So you have to learn how to maneuver in the game with a bunch of gamers who are playing the game. I'm hitting y'all with some real deep stuff, man. You got to think about that. If you only focus in specifically targeting so much on narcissists, you'll never fully understand how to properly go about your life in such a manner that gives you the peace of mind from the knowledge, from understanding, from knowing how to differentiate different factors from another, different situations from another, and how to deal with them accordingly. Red flags always come into play. You're always going to see something that's going to throw you off. The point is not to be hypervigilant or anything about it, but to assess it properly. And through assessment, you have to test and try. If it's individuals that you're dealing with, you have to test and try them. Why is that? Because you want to prove worthiness. And worthiness come in many different factors too. Are they trustworthy? Right? Are they honorable? Are they respectable? Are they worthy of your company even? Are they worthy of your assistance? Worthiness. You have to test this thing. It's not just a given. Right? And you can't just throw yourself out there, say, oh, I'm just not trusting everybody. No, you have to do your part on really breaking down situations from a different mindset. Not a fixated mindset that's only fixated on narcissists running around. This is why I try to give y'all different variations of disorders, and not just disorders, but people who are opportunist, predatorial type of individuals. Try to give y'all the full spectrum, right? And this is why when I say, oh, go ahead and show love and check in the class and hit the like button and stuff, it's because, yeah, giving you a complete outline of many different aspects that you can improve yourself on to protect yourself from. I may have to do one specific thing on how players move, on how hustlers move when you deal with them, if you come across them, scammers, and so forth. There's different variations to the game that you need. You need that. As many of you are greener than a pool table. And will get locked in and fixated on this one thing, but still a player can come in the door and still get you. A hustler can come in the door and still get you. You won't, because they won't have all of the dysfunctional qualities that a narcissist have, but they're just as effective at playing you, hustling you, using you, tricking you. So the key is to be well-rounded in your knowledge and understanding. Right? Not one-dimensional, not too fixated on this, where people are going to come in and just really press this narcissist thing to the fullest. And it never helps you gain a full understanding of all of the other variables and variations of things that may be similar to what got you caught up with the narcissist type of individual. And that's why when I hear this, and I'm not taking away from anyone that said they were with a narcissist, but a lot of you don't know how players move. A lot of you don't know how hustlers move. Some of you got hustled and not really was dealing with a narcissist. Some of you got played and weren't really dealing with a narcissist. Some of you got scammed by a scammer and you weren't really dealing with a narcissist. Again, they all can look the same and operate the same, but the inner workings of the brain and mind and the objectives are different. So if you know all of these, you can properly categorize and decipher which is what from the other, which will give you better clarity in understanding how to move accordingly. Right? Just something to think about, because it's not healthy to get fixated on one thing and not understand, again, the full spectrum of things. So I believe that if you really are paying attention, you don't have to even be fearful in life. You don't have to be judgmental or pessimistic when it comes to dealing with people. You just have to make sure that the things that you value, respect, and honor, someone is giving that back to you consistently. It has to have a certain degree of consistency to it to be able to be acknowledged as real or a part of the way that individual operates. Right? So I don't want to bombard y'all with that, and this wasn't to take away anything from anyone with their experiences, but we have to know how to properly categorize and how to fully understand the many other aspects that are out there. Okay? Go ahead and hit the like button, share, subscribe, and maybe I'll have to follow up on and give you all a breakdown of the different types of the player, and it'll only be focused on that, and then of the hustler, and it'll only be focused on that, and then of the scammer. Okay, I have to differentiate them and not just include narcissists, because some of these things aren't going to have the components of what a narcissist does and how a narcissist operates. So y'all let me know if y'all want that. I'll probably put that together and do an in-depth thing on the other factors, the other types, and we'll go from there. So I'll make it I'll do it in a way it'll be a full lecture PowerPoint type thing. We'll go deep into that, right? Because we got to go deeper than just the surface of that. So y'all let me know if y'all are with that, y'all want to see that and get the difference between the two. I'll really put something together that goes full comprehensive with that. But anyway, till next time, everybody enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. I'll see y'all soon.